Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be ranking the worst and best book that I read each month. Now I have broken this up into different categories, so my romance video will be coming later. I just read so many books that to put them all in one video would be a really long video. And I will not be including any graphic novels, mangas, or nonfiction in this, just because one, I read a lot, and two, a lot of nonfiction I don't rate because I read like memoirs and stuff and they're really personal, so I just don't feel like I can rate them. So in the month of January, I read two books that were not a romance. I read Six of Crows and House of Evil by John Dean. So by default, the best would be Six of Crows and the House of Evil would be the worst. So everyone knows what Six of Crows is, but House of Evil is a true crime story about the Sylvia, basically the story of a young girl whose parents join the circus and they give her to a neighbor and say, every week we'll give you $20 to keep both her and her sister, and then they end up getting abused. Well, one of them gets abused, Sylvia, and she ends up getting killed. This is a true crime case, and it was a decent book. I gave it 3 stars, but by default, it's technically the worst. So in February, I read 3 books that weren't a romance. So I read Nevermore, All the Bright Places, and Daisy Jones and the Six. So my best is going to be Nevermore, of course, and my worst is going to be Daisy Jones and the Six. I rated All the Bright Places and Daisy Jones the same rating, but I think that I had more positive and negative reactions to All the Bright Places, whereas Daisy Jones, I just kind of didn't really care about it all that much. And all of the emotions that I actually had were just annoyance. So in March, I read Strange the Dreamer, Pet Sematary, The Cruel Prince, Wondersmith, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Anna and the Dragon, The Diviners, Circe, The Turn of the Key, and Enchantment of Ravens, and Sorcery of Thorns. So I would say my best for this month was obviously Wondersmith, the second book in the Nevermore series, and the worst was Strange the Dreamer. So I rated Wondersmith 5 stars. It was a fantastic sequel to Nevermore, which I absolutely loved. A very whimsical middle grade story, and Strange the Dreamer was probably one of the biggest disappointments of the year. It just wasn't developed at all. I don't think that the plot wasn't developed, the characters weren't developed, so the whole thing was just flat and pointless. In April, I read Dark Matter, The Poet X, Every Hearted Doorway, The Sundown Motel, The Starless Sea, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, Throne of Glass, The Queen of Nothing, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, Chain of Gold, Guinevere Deception, The Beautiful, Lock Every Door, The Shining, and Scythe. So I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna pick 3 things that were the best this month. The worst was definitely Every Hearted Doorway. I did not like this at all. I did not connect to it at all. I just didn't really feel anything. I thought it was boring and I didn't plan on continuing the series. But my best were The Poet X, which is the first like in-verse story that I read. Actually thoroughly enjoyed, and I think that it explored some really important topics and did it in a beautiful way. The Starless Sea was absolutely gorgeous by one of my all-time favorite authors, and it was just really, really well done. I look back and see some issues, but I definitely loved my time reading it, and it was just everything that I was expecting from Erin Morgenstern. And then of course, Chain of Gold. I don't think I can have a Cassandra Clare book in the category and not choose it, you know? In May, I read Skyward, Crooked Kingdom, All the Stars and Teeth, The Guest List, Let It Snow, The Whisper Man, Thunderhead, A Good Marriage, and My Dark Vanessa. So my worst would definitely be Thunderhead, which is the sequel to Scythe. I really did not like this series. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I read it for a book club, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll continue. But this one was just significantly worse than the first one. It was flat, nothing happened. The romance in this series is absolutely atrocious, and there wasn't anything about it that I really liked. Even the really cool storyline and like the ideas that were introduced just weren't done in a very good way, so I just was not a fan at all. And my best is definitely going to be My Dark Vanessa. Absolutely stunning, so well done. And it just captures every emotion that you can possibly imagine, and you feel so connected to Vanessa, and you just want to see her do well and come through this. And it's so emotional and hard to read and gut-wrenching and so important. In June, I read Home Before Dark, Beast of Extraordinary Circumstance, House of Salt and Sorrow, Aurora Rising, In a Dark, Dark Wood, and Slay. So the majority of my reading for this month was romance. So I don't have a lot to say, but I would definitely say my best is Beast of Extraordinary Circumstance. This book blew me away. I was not expecting it to be as good as it is. It's a multiple POV story, but it's following one central character and his impact on the other characters. And he has some magical abilities, and it's stunningly done. And my worst is definitely In a Dark, Dark Wood. I don't even know what to say about this. It's a mystery. It was horribly done. The mystery at the end is so annoying, and it just wasn't done well. We're gonna take a brief break because I'm gonna show you Gotham right now. She's on my knee purring. In July, I read Opposite of Always, which is technically a romance, but it's a YA, so I'm not including it in my adult video. Then I read Drown, The Shadows Between Us, Serpent and Dove, City of Ghosts, A Court of Mist and Fury, The Wicked Deep, American Royals, Difficult Women, The Bluest Eye, We Hunt the Flame, Clap When You Land, and An Ember in the Ashes. So my worst is definitely going to be The Shadows Between Us. I had a lot of expectations for this. I was expecting it to be like that Slytherin romance, that quintessential hate to love, I guess enemies to lovers story, and it just fell so flat for my expectations. And then the best is definitely going to be The Bluest Eye. I have talked about this book 1,000 times, and I will talk about it as much as I have to get everybody to read it, because it is so stunning. It's multiple POV along the same lines of, as far as like narrative style, as The Beast of Extraordinary Circumstance, but you're following a young girl who has been told all of her life that to be pretty you have to have white skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair, and so that makes her not pretty, and just the trauma and the things that she goes through that makes her into the person that she is. And it's just so well done, and it's heartbreaking as well, and I love it so much. So in August, I read The Poppy War, A Song Below Water, Love Boat Taipei, A Court of Wings and Ruin, Ghost Squad, A Darker Shade of Magic, Black Girl Unlimited, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, Monday's Not Coming, Three Dark Crowns, Let Me Hear a Rhyme, Kingdom of Souls, and Caraval. This is a really tough one because there's a lot of really good books in this month, but I'm gonna have to go with my favorite being A Song Below Water and Black Girl Unlimited. I read these for a readathon, and both of them blew me away. Like, I was not expecting how weird A Song Below Water was, and I absolutely loved it. And Black Girl Unlimited was just so emotional, and the narrative style was so different than anything I've really read before, and the content was so emotional and heart-wrenching and just incredibly well done, and they both handle a lot of hard topics. Just worth it. So then in September, I read The City of Brass, The Marrow Thieves, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Red Dragon, Between the World and Me, The Last Magician, The Hate You Give, and Starsight. For this, I have The City of Brass, which was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. So well written. The folklore and the magic system, it just wove so well together. Each perspective just was so well done, and you understood each perspective, and you knew the importance of both people, and just beautifully written. And then my worst is definitely Starsight. So this is the sequel to Skyward, and it felt like any character development that we got in Skyward was just absolutely obliterated. Spensa went back to being so annoying and I couldn't stand her, and there was so much plot armor that it just ruined the whole thing for me, and I was so excited to explore more of this world and see more aliens and understand like what's going on exactly, and the whole ordeal was just so ruined for me, and it's really sad because I loved the first one. And I was excited to have like a YA fantasy that was not as intimidating as adult sci-fi is. So then in October, I read To All the Boys I Loved Before, One of Us is Lying, The Silent Patient, Wicked Saints, Children of Blood and Bone, The Roanoke Girls, Aurora Burning, We Were Liars, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Fangirl, The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, The Sword of Summer, Rebecca, Station 11, The Dutch House, A Monster Calls, Graveyard Book, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Mexican Gothic, and The Year of the Witching. My worst is definitely going to be Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. For the first third of this book, I loved it. I thought it was going to be a 5-star. It was going to be like one of the most horrifying books that I'd ever read. And then the ending, I'm not going to go into detail about why I hate the ending so much. It was really bad, and I don't think that any of it was handled the way it should have been handled. If you know what I'm talking about, But so then my favorite, there were a lot of really good books on this list. Like my runner-up would definitely be Rebecca, because that was one of the most like suspensefully well done mysteries that I have ever read. But my favorite's definitely gonna have to go to Mexican Gothic. This blew me out of the water. How many times am I gonna say that? It was so well written. The suspense was fantastic. The like more supernatural elements that were included just built so much suspense. You didn't know what the heck was going on. Like you didn't know if this house was doing it, if the people were doing it. You didn't know if like the main character was just losing her mind. You had no idea. It was so well done. And I guess that's kind of why I liked it and Rebecca, because they are very similar in like their themes. And then in November, I read The Gilded Wolves, The House in the Cerulean Sea, The Space Between Worlds, Stalking Jack the Ripper, House of Earth and Blood. I guess that's technically adult romance, but we're gonna keep it on this list. A Man Called Ova, Monstrous, Truly Devious, and Binti. This is actually hard because like they're all kind of mediocre. Like really the only bad one is Truly Devious, which is going to be my worst of the year by far, or worst of the month by far, because I could not stand it. I was so unhappy the entire time. Like nothing happened. I was so disappointed. I was so mad that so many people have compared it to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because it just was nothing like that. They don't compare A Good Girl's Guide to Murder as literal perfection. Like it was so disappointing to me. But I think my favorite's gonna have to be The Gilded Wolves. I think because two things, I kind of went in with my like a little bit of my like contrarian hat on, because this has been compared to Six of Crows so much that I just was like, it's not Six of Crows. Like I want to prove to everybody that it's not Six of Crows. So I think that that's lent itself a little, because I was giving it more leeway, and also I kind of went in with really no expectations of what the book was going to be like. So I think that definitely helped me a whole lot as far as my enjoyment of the book. But overall, it was just a fun fantasy with endearing characters, interesting plot, and just well paced. So I think that's gonna have to be my best. And then you'll have to watch my December wrap up to know what my December's best and worst were. But that is going to be it. This video wasn't nearly as long as I thought it was going to be, which is fantastic. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below your thoughts on any of the books that I talked about in this video. I would love to hear it. What was your best and your worst? But other than that, I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much.